So this happened 10 minutes ago. Doc Rivers is out as the Clippers head coach. I did not expect this to happen. I did think that they should have fired him, but I did not think they would actually do it. Now, there's a lot that's up to interpretation here. Did they fire him as in Steve Ballmer just realized, all right, enough is enough. We've had way too many almost got there seasons and playoff runs. Was this Kawhi and Paul George being like, no, we want someone else? Was this Doc Rivers giving up on the Clippers and he wants to do something else? Was this a front office play where they didn't take Kawhi and PG's opinion into account that much, and it was more so they're just really desperate for that instant turnaround because, as we all know, Kawhi and PG have one more season left and before their options come up? There is a lot to consider here, and I guess to think about the Kawhi PG thing, I mean, does Kawhi run the Clippers? It's the first question I got. I mean, he organized the whole Paul George move, and you could look at it as the Clippers are kind of prisoners to whatever Kawhi wants because they need to do anything they can to make him stay. I mean, this has been talked about enough by me and by everybody on the internet. They've traded away so much of their future picks that if Kawhi or PG left, mainly Kawhi, I mean, Paul George's stock doesn't look as amazing right now, but if Kawhi left, you're the Nets for like a decade. Shout out to the Nets who managed to turn that thing around. But yeah, the Clippers, if they had to turn that thing around, it would be extremely difficult. So I guess this is step one. I don't think this is going to be the only thing we see from the Clippers this offseason. I mean, when was the last time we saw a team go into an offseason with this much desperation? They got one season, to convince Kawhi to stay. And I think this move shows that they are clearly willing to go there. And so now the next thing I have to ask is, what's next? I mean, who's the next coach? Is it Ty Lue? Is it Sam Cassell because he's already been there? I have no idea. I mean, I think about this situation, like, have we seen a coach walk into as high stakes of a spot as this one? I mean, usually guys are hired with the idea of you can grow with the team and you're going to be here for a long time and all that. This is we need an instant improvement. And will Kawhi be the one determining the coach? I mean, we don't know if he was the one determining if Doc got fired or not. Is he going to be the one determining who the next coach is? Did I mention Ty Lue? I might have. Just in the sense of a guy who can get players to respect him like that. Ty Lue's done that. I mentioned Sam Cassell. He's been there as an assistant coach for that team. I don't know. I don't know who the right guy for the job is for this. I mean, hell, you're going to go get Larry Brown? Like, maybe that's the guy. Larry Brown is 80. I don't think he wants to coach. You going to convince Popovich to come from San Antonio? Like, I don't know. I feel like the Clippers are probably grasping for anything like that at this point. So we'll see. That's the big thing. We'll see. But I think we also have to look at this from the sense of the Clippers are willing to make a move here. So now, I mean, are we going to see like Paul George traded? I think it really just comes down to Kawhi. I mean, if Kawhi wants Paul George and he's going to stay, if he doesn't, then I think Paul George could be in the rumor mill. And that opens up a whole nother thing because then it's, 1-year contract. Who's going to want this guy? He's clearly proven that he's pretty fishy with wanting to stay in one place for too long. We had that other rumor about Clippers role players thinking they're better than Paul George. There was another rumor about PG gave some sort of speech after the loss in Game 7, and the players were looking at him like he had 3 heads, and then he had the quote about, "This was not a championship or bust season for us." It might not have been for you, Paul George, but it clearly was for the Clippers. So, I don't want to say there's writing on the wall that PG's out the door in Clipperland, but the writing is like half written on the door or something. I don't know. It's a bad joke, excuse me. It really all just might come down to Kawhi. I mean, I know we've gotten jokes off about LeBron and he runs the team, of which I'm pretty sure those rumors have been true. I think Kawhi really runs the Clippers right now, because you can't do anything to upset him. As far as the other things, I mean, there's still the Montrez sign and trade idea. Is there a Shamet trade? Yeah, potentially. Is there a Lou Will trade? Maybe. Pat Bev trade? Maybe. A lot of these guys are on tradable contracts. But again, there's no draft picks. They don't have any. Can't move any. I can't help but think, as I'm talking about the Paul George stuff, and I mean, we all saw the lack of chemistry for the Clippers and all that. Is there a chance that no matter what the Clippers do, it's not going to work out? Because it's kind of come out that the situation, it wasn't volatile, but it wasn't exactly kumbaya either, right? So that can go south. I mean, how do we know that 20 games in the next season the Clippers aren't 12-8? And it's like, wait a minute. Do we have to tear this thing down now? I don't know, man. The Clippers, look, they went all in a way that no team has ever gone all in. And I think Steve Ballmer, I think when he first showed up, he seemed like a guy who just didn't really know about basketball. He saw an investment opportunity. He went for it. He enjoyed the thrill of it all. And then at a certain point, I would have liked to have thought that he was like, all right, I got to kind of learn this basketball thing, or I just got to hire people who get it and I kind of move out of the way. I mean, I don't know. The dude's a super duper billionaire. I could understand if a guy like that believes that he has to kind of make the big swing, and that was looked at as the big swing by an owner who potentially didn't know how valuable draft picks were, with the idea being, oh, it's fine, we'll trade for Kawhi and PG, we're going to be title contenders, they're going to re-sign, still got Shamet, going to re-sign Montrez, we'll be all good. Well, here's the alternative. You had to fire Doc Rivers, a guy who, for a long time, looked like was really Steve Ballmer's dude. But now they got to go in a different direction, and depending on how this year goes, it could be viewed as the downfall of the Clippers for a really long time. I mean, because they're in LA, they still make a lot of money. They're still towards the top of the league in revenue, even if they are the clear number 2 team behind the Lakers in Los Angeles. So they will always have that going for them. But you can't help but think, new arena, maybe people don't want to go there because the team sucks. Don't have any draft picks. Could get ugly. Maybe Steve Ballmer would pull a Prokhorov and sell the team out of embarrassment, basically. Or maybe it was a good business move for Prokhorov, I really don't know. But for the Clippers' sake, for Steve Ballmer's sake, they're going to need this to go well, obviously. Because Kawhi is everything. Was Kawhi the reason Doc's out? Maybe. Is Kawhi going to be the reason why somebody gets traded? It's possible. Are the Clippers going to say, screw you, Kawhi, and trade him, and that'll be the ultimate WTF about this team? I don't think that's going to happen. Although if they're bad at the deadline next year, well, bad. I mean, they should still be good, but if it's not going well, would they move Kawhi at the deadline? I don't know. Maybe they're just that desperate. Usually I would say, guy's too good to move, you take it out to the end, and if he leaves, well, you still took the chance. But with how bad their draft pick situation is, they might actually have to trade Kawhi in the middle of next season if it's not pretty obvious that they're on the track to keeping him. Now, maybe Kawhi just wants to be in LA so bad that they don't have to be amazing to keep him, but I don't know, man.